Welcome back. You're still with Perspective, and we're talking to Pak Imron Zuhri from MediaTrack on big data. How do you create value from big data? What can you draw from it?
Okay, now this is actually the most difficult question to answer for anybody who wants to utilize big data. Is first you have to have a case, a problem, a business case.
See, so it starts with a problem.
Yes. It starts with, in most cases, it has to start with a problem. What is it that you're trying to solve? Is it you're trying to optimize your production, your budget, or you want to find opportunities? What? And then we collect all the data that's available and then try to make sense out of the data to solve that problem.
So basically, it's a problem-solving tool.
It's a problem-solving tool in a way.
What would you rate? Well, for me, it's very difficult to say when you have a trove of data, especially data from the internet, which is social media and things like that. I can understand trend, for example, what people like, but if I want to talk brand, for example, what should I look for in this data?
Well, we start with the business case first. What is it that the problem you're trying to solve?
Right.
If you're, for example, you're trying to engage with your consumer in a more relevant way, then the data that you need is as much as possible the data from the consumers that allows you to understand their behavior, their interests better, so you can serve them.
What type of brand do they purchase? What type of brand do they hate, and things like that.
Yes.
Okay.
And from the data, you can make sense more about their behavior, and if you know them better, then you can serve them better.
Is there a what is it, expiry date for data?
Yes and no. It depends on the business case.
So basically, is because I think habits also change. I mean, for example, my generation and the new generation, the way they consume news is completely different.
Yes.
I drink coffee, read newspaper in the morning. My family, my son will do like just tablets. It doesn't bother with the paper, for example.
Yes.
How do you gauge this change? I mean, what if, for example, you are analyzing a case and then you use data that actually is not valid anymore?
Well, there are ways and methods to allows you to check on that, based on your business case.
Right.
So if you're talking about fashion, for example, of course.
Fashion, yeah, I can understand it.
Yeah,
it changes every week even.
But if your business case is actually climate change, for example, then you actually, there's very little expiry date on that, because you need to understand with more data as much as possible to understand climate change, for example. So it depends on what is it that you're trying to solve. When you're dealing with poverty, for example, then it's something in the middle. You know.
Yeah, okay.
So it depends.
Another question that I have on big data is like, take the example of Google, for example. This is a success story on big data, but Google's there, for example, if I want to make my web more popular, for example, there are ways around it to do it. So are data really valid in that sense, or even if you manipulate this data by any way, by search engine or by words or by what, does that affect actually the way you look at the data? The
validity of your data is as good as the insight that it is generated, and you get a validated the result by implementing it.
So basically, you will see it, whether you're wrong or not. Whether the data is valid once you have it.
Yes. But now there exists a technology that allows the algorithm to learn from the mistakes. So even if we make mistakes, then you can feed it back in the data back to the.
Oh, and then they start selecting again.
Yeah, the algorithm or the machine, and they will learn from that mistakes and try to guess better next time.
Okay, I'm talking of data also. When you see data, it's, I don't know, there must be zillion of it in various types and things like that. In order to be effective, to be used, to be mined, to be analyzed, does the data needs to be like gathered in the same way, for example, gathered over the same period, for example? Are there requirements for data that has to be met for?
Yes, before it has to be stored in a certain in a similar format.
Exactly.
But nowadays, because the data is so huge, there exists technology that allows you to analyze all this big data in different forms, in different
Okay, so they have analytical tool for different set of data.
You lose on the accuracy, but then you
add on on whatever you can find.
Because accuracy is actually relative. I can give you an example.
I like that.
Yeah, I can give you an example. If you're looking for 90% accuracy before you cross the street in Jakarta, you're never going to cross the street.
Yeah, sure.
So what is the best accurate data that you have before you make a decision before you're crossing the street in Jakarta? I guess maybe only 65%.
Right.
Which is pretty bad to some people, but hey, that's what's available. And otherwise the people behind you will, so it depends on what is it that you're trying to do.
Okay, we have to break again, unfortunately, but we'll be back soon. Please stay with us.